episode of Turn Left. I am your host, Indiana's own Dana Black, coming to you live. Yes, all the way live from Black Pearl Studios, where we talk about Indiana politics from the left side of things. Well, I'm back for another show. I'm excited about being here. And just like the last 3 episodes of Turn Left, we have been focusing in on the people that are doing the work in the street that have other mediums that you can listen to. So this week, I'm super excited because Black Pearl Studios has launched a new podcast called NextGen. And tonight we have one of the hosts with us who is going to share with you his experiences, why he's doing it, and all the good things. And I'm excited because, listen, we got to get these young people engaged. More than anything else, we have got to get these young people engaged. So let me introduce you to my guest, who is one of the hosts of NextGen. Y'all give it up for Connor Phillips. Connor, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me tonight.
I love it. So, the first thing I always do with a guest is tell the people who you are and where you come from.
Yeah, so my name is Connor Phillips. I am currently a sophomore at Wabash College studying political science, and I'm from Portage, Indiana.
Okay, so you're studying politics, so you're a junkie. You're like me. You have to shoot it up in your veins, this politics things. So
Guilty as charged.
Yeah. So what got you into politics? Because we hear young people don't care about it. You're a young person. What got you involved?
So for myself, it was around the time I entered high school. I don't really know exactly what got me involved, but I knew I wanted to make a change in this world. I knew I kind of wanted to fight for those who didn't have a voice. So that's where I kind of started figuring out how to get involved. And then by the time I was 15, 16, that's when I started to get involved in like local Democrat politics.
15 or 16, dude, I was just trying to make the basketball team. I wasn't even thinking about politics. That is deep. Does your family have a background in politics?
So the weird thing is, no, they did not. This is just purely my own adventure being out here in the political world. I'm on my own here.
Okay. Well, you're not on your own because you got a bunch of old people that'll help you. So, when I did a call out for people interested in doing a podcast, a political podcast where young people were talking to young people, why did that interest you?
I feel like one of the things that we can always do better is reaching out more. And I feel like for a message to hit with young people, I think it's better if it comes from a younger person. And I saw that I'm like, I kind of want to get myself out there. I want to do more. I want to be more involved in local progressive and Democrat politics. So I'm like, let's give it a shot, just see what happens. And maybe, who knows, maybe I could try and inspire someone else to get involved and, get their wheel rolling here.
So did you have any broadcasting, podcasting experience before?
No, none at all.
And so were you nervous the first time, like when we first were having our meetings? And
I would definitely say just at least a little, because it's a whole new thing. So a new thing sometimes brings a little bit of nerves, but I'd say I'm liking it a lot so far.
I see, that makes me happy because I want to make sure that you guys are enjoying it. What are some of the things? We only dropped our first episode, and the link is in the description there. So if you guys listen to it at another time, not right now, but what were some of the things that you've already learned about yourself and maybe even the process?
So for myself, it's definitely interesting having to speak more like kind of without a script, if you will. That is something I'm still learning. I think I'm doing decent at it, but learning to speak without a script and just kind of be able to deliver a message with key points, I think that's another thing I'm improving on. And then about others, it's good to see that other people are actively involved or that because in my area, I feel like there's not that many young people around my age that are actively involved. But it's good to see that at least throughout the state, there's quite a few people that are really interested in wanting to step up.
Yeah, that was one of my goals, was to make sure that it was across the state and that we had a not just a diversity of voices, but a diversity of geography, a diversity in the hosts. We haven't actually accomplished that mission just yet, but we are still working on it. And then tell me, are there any takeaways that you've been able to apply to your studies?
Um, that's a good question. Applying to my studies, Nothing too crazy yet, but it's definitely interesting always hearing other people's perspectives, like throughout the state. Um, so I look forward to hearing more, and maybe I can learn more from other people.
I love that. And as you think about the future of NextGen in, what are some things that you hope that we accomplish with this project?
I definitely want to get more people involved. I want to see hope that it's not just three or four of us. I want to see it be a lot more, and I think we can do that. We just have to keep going at this. This isn't a simple thing, but this is just a time and consistency. If we keep releasing episodes, I think we'll get more people that are interested in wanting to be involved, and also just to inspire people to get more active in their communities, to actually step up, know that they have a right, that they have a voice, and that they have every right to exercise that voice and speak out against anything that might be happening or in favor of what might be happening in their communities.
I love it. So when you're talking to your homies, you may not be talking about politics, but what are some of the concerns that you're hearing?
Definitely affordability. There is definitely like a sense of urgency that a lot of people in my generation are scared because unless you do go to college or you go straight to the trades, you're not really going to have the money to buy a house anytime soon. And that's if you're lucky. So I know that that's probably the main thing right now that's sticking out to people, and that's apolitical. That's Democrats and Republicans. They're both really all concerned about being able to afford life and a home and groceries and all the other things.
So do young folks understand? And you have to tell me, do young folks understand like that if they get engaged in the political process, a lot of the things that they are concerned about, they can have a hand in changing?
It would vary. A lot of this generation is really intelligent, and I've seen a lot. Um, I don't know. It's hard for me to say because you see a lot of people online that are really smart that are able to talk about this, but unfortunately, a lot of people don't necessarily go out and make that step. And
Mm.
so I'm hoping that something like Next Gen can actually push people to make that step out. That's my one of my hopes right there.
Do you have an idea of why they don't want to step out?
Um, it's a bit of a scary thing, I won't lie. Like, because you're kind of on your own. Um, people are. It's not a popular thing to do either, really. If you think about it, especially for people our age, it's not that popular to get that actively involved. But I think we can definitely try and make a push to make people more realize that they need to be more involved in the communities. I think that's something that we can absolutely do.
I love that. And so if you're talking to somebody like me who's an old head Gen Xer, right? And we're working hard to get young people engaged. What advice do you have for us in how to engage young people?
It's a good question. Um, I would say definitely stay on like some of the more trendy social media apps like TikTok and Instagram, which I know we post on. I think that's where a lot of young people are. Like, unfortunately, you're not going to see the young people on like Facebook. They might be
Oh,
on there, but they're not actively on there as much as they might be on TikTok. So I think if we wanted to get more young people involved and engaged to view our stuff, I would say maybe we need to get more like, short clips of us talking about something, of conversations. They can be simple, mundane, or more exciting. And we definitely need to post them, kind of get out there more. I think that would maybe be a good way to fish line someone and other younger people in.
okay. So it looks like I'm going to have to get a TikTok. I'm going to have to break down and do it because I don't even have TikTok. Like I know what it is, right? And Facebook and Threads and Instagram have all like tried to replicate it, and I'm like, ooh, I can just go over here and do the clips over here, but I need to be on TikTok, huh?
Yeah, TikTok and definitely Instagram, I'd say would be the two major ones, and maybe YouTube Shorts too.
Which one?
YouTube Shorts,
YouTube short. Okay, so I do that. I do that. So I do the
perfect,
shorts. All right.
beautiful.
But aside from the social media platforms and the mediums to reach them, what should we be saying? How should we approach it? Because like how I talk to people my age, I don't feel like it's the same as when I need to talk to young people. Are there, I don't want to sound goofy, right? I don't want to do 6'7". I know that's the thing.
Oh God, that's good. I would say with young people, Probably listening more than talking is probably something better that maybe the other generations can do. Maybe like coming out to young people and asking what's some problems you're concerned about, what's on your mind. Because a lot of them they'll know what's concerning them, they'll know what's their problem. And so once you start with that, then maybe you can start, okay, well, here's how you can get involved, or here's how you can, impact that, not only just for yourself, but for your community.
Do young people, we talk about the problems, do they also offer like maybe some solutions? We would love to hear new ideas.
I would say young people definitely too would have solutions as well. They might be a little different than what maybe some people are used to hearing, but they'll have solutions even if they're more radical, if you will.
Right. Well, we don't mind radical because, the president, the person that occupies the White House went over to Europe this week and made us look real dumb. So we'll take some aggressive, positive suggestions. So how about if we talk about a few issues that are going on around the state? You mind?
Absolutely.
All right. Indiana Capitol Chronicle reports local officials argued Tuesday that the state shouldn't take away their authority over housing regulation in an attempt to boost residential construction and home ownership. The level of local control is a key part of a bill endorsed Tuesday by an Indiana House committee that targets housing affordability by limiting local zoning regulations and streamlining approvals for new residential development. Representative Doug Miller, the author of House Bill 1001, told the committee that a combination of unnecessary regulations driving up costs and insufficient new construction was resulting in too many people unable to buy homes. Miller's proposal would prohibit local officials from imposing requirements on exterior design implements of homes unless a city or county adopts an ordinance to opt out of the limitations. So Kevin Beatty, the town manager of the Southern Indiana community of Clarksville, told committee members that other restrictions on requiring multiple parking spaces for new dwellings could increase vehicle parking on narrow streets, making travel difficult for fire trucks and sanitation vehicles. Dictating lower development standards should not be a decision by the state, Beatty said. Local governments are the boots on the ground and know firsthand how their residents want their community to develop and grow. Local zoning already takes into consideration various housing options, including affordability and character. Representative Blake Johnson of Indianapolis raised questions about the balance between affordability and the long-term quality of construction before the House Local Government Committee voted 7-3 in favor of the bill. I have multiple issues with this bill, Connor. There was some Indiana Chamber of Commerce folks that voiced approval for this bill. But the thing I have the biggest difficulty in is the State House, again, usurping local control. When you hear a bill like this and you see that the State House once again has said, hey, local control ain't what we're really trying to do as Republicans, how does that make you feel as someone who has witnessed the state, strong arm everything with the supermajority?
I'm really upset that now that they want to change housing regulations and make a statewide thing. I don't think that that's the right way to go about doing things, especially with stuff that should be left to the cities and counties and communities. You shouldn't take that right away from them. So frankly, yeah, no, it really makes me upset to see that, another example of the strong arming from Indianapolis and the supermajority. It's a shame to see that.
Yeah, because one of the things that happens is like they do this blanket thing about restricting the ability to regulate housing construction. But what you need in Indianapolis and what you need in Evansville or what you need in Gary are very different. And when they do a one size fits all, and a lot of it is really just taking away what Indianapolis is doing. The city county council with our majority in our Democratic city. There was another bill where they wanted to get rid of the Citizens Review Board, and I can't remember what that number is, but they wanted to get rid of the Citizens Review Board for law enforcement. That ordinance was put in place after the George Floyd murder. But they were saying that, and so instead of like Republicans trying to work with like the local Democrats here in Indianapolis, they went to the Republicans at the State House and said, hey, we want you to write new legislation so they can't control the city county council here in Indy. So they go to the State House to do it.
That makes sense. God.
This is what's happening. Like, and it drives me nuts because, it's a supermajority of Democrats, which we elected. Right? We elected them and we said we want this type of leadership in our city. And now the Republicans would get mad because they don't have no control in Indianapolis and they go to the State House. What are your thoughts on that?
Again, I think it's a real shame to see the majority trying to work against the right of the people, the vote of the people, and especially in Indianapolis. It's a real shame to see them trying to outstep the county council because, frankly, I don't really think the state should be making decisions for a city or for a county on like that wide of a scale, like that uniformly without their consideration. Like that should be left up to the county or the city or the community in question. It shouldn't be just a thing that, the state house is doing. Like a community in Northwest Indiana shouldn't be controlled by Indianapolis. So why should Indianapolis be controlled by the state house?
Exactly. Now, we want to make sure that we're very clear. We're talking about the state that just happens to be in Indianapolis versus Indianapolis. Because, a lot of people be like, because this is a Democratic city and it drives them nuts. I mean, because it's like the economic engine of this entire state and they just can't control it. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that every Democrat in Indianapolis is doing everything correctly. I'm not saying that. But we elected our people and I want them to get the heck out. All right, I got another story. The Indy Star reports an Indiana lawmaker wants the legislature to formally investigate the embattled Indiana Economic Development Corp. But the top House Republican lawmakers who would need to sign off on the idea is splashing some cold water on the prospect. State Representative Ed Delaney of Indianapolis, who has long been critical of the IEDC, has introduced a House resolution that would establish a select committee on accountability to investigate the financial, administrative, and procedural practices of the IEDC. He said that the audit initiated by Governor Mike Braun last year was a first step, but it only showed the public that there was an opportunity for waste, not whether any had occurred. The audit found a lack of transparency and accountability in the management of state funds by third parties and raised concerns about the potential for favoritism and misuse of public funds. We need to go to that next level, Delaney said. The public needs to know if any harm was done. Since Democrats are in the minority, they can't launch the committee by themselves. They need Republican support, specifically from Speaker Todd Houston. But while Houston said that he would assign the resolution to a legislative committee, he also indicated he didn't think there was time to get it across the finish line before the legislature adjourns this spring. And he said it was time for people to move on from the scandal. The fact of the matter is we need to move forward, Houston told reporters on June 22nd, saying he had a high degree of confidence in the IEDC. At some point, we have to continue to focus on having IEDC attract businesses to our state and to do it the right way. And that's what's being done. Delaney acknowledged that the committee wouldn't happen without Republican support. Delaney said he believed the governor's office was neutral about the proposal, but a spokesperson from the governor didn't return Indy Star's request. If the leadership isn't for it, it's not going to happen. Okay, see, this is why first of all, Ed Delaney is so dope. Like, I dig him. I like the way he handles his business. What I'm struggling with is that they are real quick to spend time on an issue that they don't want to get their hands dirty in. The IEDC, we don't know how much money they have wasted. We don't know where our tax dollars have gone. We have no accountability. We don't know how many cronies that have been getting kickbacks. And with the controversy that they had, Connor, I can pretty much be assured that there was some kickbacks. What are your thoughts?
I think it's like kind of ironic that the party that's all for government transparency doesn't want to be transparent when asked to pretty much, release and show where the money's been going, your tax dollars. I think it's kind of interesting to see that they suddenly don't want to show where your tax dollars are going for that. So I I hope Representative Delaney's bill, passes. I hope it gets through, but something tells me it won't. Got a
Something tells me
sneaky.
it won't. Yeah, they don't want to be held accountable. And granted, think about it. This is of all the resolutions that they could put forth, there would be no blowback to this particular administration because everything happened under the previous administration. So why not be transparent? Why not? So I don't know. It looks like whatever money was wasted. I mean, this goes back to the charter school fiasco. Oh, by the way, Governor Braun this week also reached out to get signed up for charter school expansion. Let me see if I can find that article that was just out. Charter school, charters. It's a news story that just charter school to benefit new Indiana tax law. So no, that's not the one. Let me see. Broad option to new federal school choice program. Indiana Public Media reports. Governor Mike Braun announced Thursday that Indiana will opt into a new initiative allowing Hoosiers to collect federal dollars, tax savings for investments made in K through 12 scholarships. The new federal tax credit was established under President Orange Guy, his big ugly bill, and applies to charitable contributions made to scholarships granting organizations to serve eligible K through 12 students. Parents are in charge of their children's education, Braun said in a news release. As a state, we are prioritizing that through universal school choice and a state tax credit for donations made to scholarship granting organizations, which help make a high quality education accessible and affordable for every Hoosier family. Under the president's leadership, we welcome this increased focus on school choice at the federal level and are ready to leverage this additional federal tax credit to expand opportunities for students and families across our state. Okay, so he's willing to take the federal money for charter schools, but he wasn't willing to take federal money for Medicare and Medicaid.
That makes sense. Yeah, definitely.
That's it's kind of sad, actually. Like,
Yeah.
first of all, we haven't seen that charter schools are producing any better than public schools, so we continue to take public money for charter schools. And listen, I understand that there are people who are for charters. There are people in our party who are for charters. To me, you can't fix one school system by creating a second one and then diverting dollars. We also know that there's there's a big controversial conversation going on about sharing revenue with charter schools in Indianapolis for transportation and the like, right? So now you have this one pot of money that's supposed to be for public schools, but you got to split it up between all these other schools. And oh, by the way, charter school students come from all over. So how are you going to manage that transportation? Because at least in IPS, it's one district. Now you have them from all over living in. So it's a mess. I am not a fan of this, especially when you couldn't get those tax dollars to extend to SNAP benefits and all those other things. I mean, it's the picking and choosing that's driving me nuts, right?
Yeah, I'm someone that lives in a household that, relies on some of these benefits to be able to get through the month and to kind of constantly feel like you're looking around the corner, like wait for your programs to end that you're, getting assistance from. It's really nerve-wracking because I'm someone who is kind of on Medicaid. I reapplied, but they said as of right now, I'm still supposed to lose at the end of the month. So hopefully I get that figured out. But it's kind of crazy that, we'll accept money for certain things, charter schools, but we won't accept money for programs, other programs who won't accept federal money for that. And there is a place for charter schools, but I think that the state does a little too much with them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think every parent should have the right to choose where to send their kid. But I think especially if you make above a certain amount of dollars, that right might come at a cost.
I don't understand why families who are making six figures in a household need to get a $7,000 coupon to send their kid to a private school that they was going to send them to anyway.
That's
I'm not down with
exactly my
that.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Like if you're someone in like Gary and or another community where you're not making that much money, or if you're just not making that much money in general, I can totally understand that. Like that makes sense to me. But
well,
there comes a
it's
point where
the
it's just
it's the rural communities that miss out the most. I mean, when you think
yeah,
about, you mentioned Gary. Gary doesn't even have a public high school anymore, right? They don't have a public high school anymore. But like
I
you
don't
think about some of the rural areas of Indiana, they have to do more with less. They don't have any charter schools in rural Indiana. So what are they supposed to do? Right? And then
close.
and then the other aspect of it is this is the nobody seems to have an answer for this for me. If charter schools in the charter school system was so fantastic, why aren't they in Hamilton County? I mean, why aren't they in majority white locations? Why are they in majority black and brown locations? If they're so great, right? You said something
Yeah.
right now that triggered a thought for me, though. You said that you applied for assistance again and you're not really sure. Talk about that for a minute. As a young person who's trying to get your education, should you be worrying? Do you feel like you should be worrying about where I'm getting my health care from?
I mean, I should be worrying about this much. My situation's a little unique, but the fact that it's like it's this hard and it's this like convoluted, it's a really convoluted system when you're applying, especially for Medicaid. Because you'll get a bunch of mailers and you won't really know what's going on until you get a mailer that says, "Oh, you're denied. You're not. You don't have anything." But I also got a new healthcare card at the start of the year, so I thought I was okay. And then I get a piece of mail 2 weeks later saying, "Hey, your health insurance is ending at the end of the month because you didn't submit one thing right."
Wow. And there were so are you able to call and try to get a hold of
Yeah,
somebody?
I submitted a appeal, so I'm just waiting to hear back yet. I'm probably going to call them up on Monday, see if they have a decision.
Wow. That has got to
Yeah,
be heavy, right? That's got to,
yeah, no, it is. It's just stressful.
man, imagine trying to prep for exams and then waiting for an acceptance or denial letter to have health care. Y'all,
Yeah,
this is America? It's what we doing? That's crazy. All right, I got another story. The Indy Star reports, this might be something you find comical as well. Indiana may become the latest state to require public schools to teach students to wait until marriage to have children, part of a newly polarized yet controversial effort on an early 2000s theory that following a specific success sequence could virtually eliminate poverty. The sequence, which Senate Bill 88 adds to a list of good citizenship instructions, includes earning a high school degree, getting a full-time job, and waiting to have kids after marriage. The idea emerged from a 2006 report from the National Campaign to Prevent Teen Pregnancy before catching the eye of think tanks, including Brookings, the American Enterprise Institute, and the Heritage Foundation, the group behind Project 2025. Critics, though, say it lacks sufficient evidence and shame students for whom this issue may be personal or sensitive. Legislation promoting the sequence has passed in Utah and Tennessee and has been considered in a handful of other states. The Indiana bill passed out of the Senate Education Committee along party lines on January 21st and is now headed to the full Senate for consideration. But others, including the Libertarian Cato Institute, have questioned if, excuse me, the relationship is correlation instead of causation. Senator Andrea Hundley of Indianapolis asked if lawmakers had evidence tied specifically to teaching the sequence, and bill author Senator Gary Byrne of Byronville said he did not. Democrats were unsuccessful in trying to strip the language from the bill with a flurry of amendments, including one that would have required more comprehensive sexual education. A controversial section on curriculum was later removed by the bill author, who said it should be left up to school boards and local superintendents. The legislature proclaiming or declaring a preferred private life pathway to students, I think, is questionable, said Senator Shelley Yoder of Bloomington. And I would agree it should be left up to the school board. The bill would also require state educational institutions to accept the classic learning test in the same way they would the ACT and SAT in their admissions criteria. Connor, you're a young person. Do you think that the state house can control what young people do in the private time of their lives?
No, the moment you try to control what they do, it'll only get worse. Because young people are kind of rebellious. Um, but I will say, I do find it kind of funny that they want to vote to, ensure that we tell people that they should wait till marriage before they have kids, but we won't tell them or we won't teach them sexual education, like even basics. They won't teach them that. So I find that kind of like a little ironic there, if
Uh,
you catch my
yeah.
drift, because I'm like, well, what are we doing?
Like if you teach people how babies are made, maybe they'll think about it. Listen, when in the 70s, in the early 80s, when I was in elementary school, more so in junior high school, they gave us a sex education class that showed us like infected genitalia, like what herpes looked like, what syphilis looked like, right? If that didn't scare the heck out of you, I don't, if you wanted to say, hey, let's stop teen pregnancy, show them what a disease looked like. Do they even do that now? Like when you were in high school?
No, when I was in high school, my like sex ed unit, notice I use the word unit, not class, was very brief. It was maybe a week total. Like it was just to get through it and like don't think about it, but just don't go do it.
Just don't do it. Is that
Yeah.
right? Because you want to just don't do it turns off hormones, right?
Oh, exactly. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, they got that
That
biology.
wins the battle every time.
I can't even like the idea. Like we act. First of all, humans are going human. Humans have been human since the beginning of time, and the fact that we are spending this much time on legislation to tell people that the sequence can prevent poverty, when we know there are systems in place outside of the one-on-one interaction that humans have with each other that create poverty. I don't know, like tariffs.
Yeah.
Like all these other things that are happening in the world. I don't know. That bill kind of made me chuckle because, like you said, how you gonna teach a sequence but not teach sex ed? And I imagine young folks are gonna go, well, we're just gonna wait. We're not because it's not. It's they don't plan on having the kid. They having fun,
Yeah.
right? It's fun, and then there's a oops in the process.
Yeah.
So
Like especially with my generation too, I know maybe a couple people that already have kids, but I know like most people that actually like really wanting to have kids are probably going to end up waiting another 10 years, I bet you. Because it's so hard to, be able to have a kid nowadays and actually afford it. Plus,
mhm.
we're a lot of us are still in college or in some training program. But yeah, it's more expensive than ever to have kids.
Yeah, I know that one of the MAGA talking points is that especially white Americans need to start having more children, which is one of the main reasons for the abortion ban push. Right? Is no, we're not going to have an abortion because we need more kids. But they're not doing anything. They're not doing the things to make raising a family easier. There's no real medical paid leave, for having a baby. You have to have two incomes to raise a family. Like the whole thing is the system is not set up. And you guys are actually smart. Like I know my generation, they had the well, again, they were just having fun. A lot of them, they weren't planning on it. They was just having fun, and they have all these kids. But you guys are like, not doing it. You guys don't even want car payments.
Yeah, because I mean everything's just so expensive, but also, yeah, no, that's true. Yeah,
So one of the things that I look forward to is watching you guys craft the stories that you're going to tell on NextGen. I'm excited about y'all's ability to shape it and shape those stories in the way that you want other young people to see them. But we also need other young people to want to get involved. So give young people a message on, well, before you do that, I'm gonna give you a chance to think about it. I gotta run an ad. I forgot. So hang on just a second.
Sure.
Join Phi Beta Sigma and Zeta Phi Beta for Sigma Zeta Day on the Hill at the Indiana State Library, Tuesday, February 17th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Connect with fellow members, engage with Indiana's legislative community, and strengthen our fraternal bond through civic action. This year's motto says it all: protecting voters' rights, increasing civic engagement. Whether you're advocating for our communities or building relationships that last, this is your chance to make an impact. Mark your calendars, February 17th at the Indiana State Library. We will see you on the Hill. All right. Listen, Sigma Zeta Day on the Hill. Make sure if you know, all the Divine Nines, all of y'all get together and go to the library, the state library. This is a way for you to get involved. Divine Nine is so powerful. You guys have a footprint all over this country. So if you're in Indianapolis and you're a part of the Divine Nine, of course, if you're a Sigma or Zeta, definitely, but let's get involved. Let's bring the power of the Divine Nine together and let's make some real changes here in the state of Indiana. All right, back to you now, Connor. We want young people to get involved. So give us a pitch.
All right. You've heard the term, be the change you want to see in this world, but that term is more true now than ever. We need more young people like myself and you to step up and get involved. And that could take shape in many different ways. Doesn't mean you have to run for office tomorrow. Doesn't mean you have to lead the picket line on a strike. But it means learn more, participate more, and get out there and act upon what makes you go. You can change a lot more than what you think you can do. And so it's our time to go do it because we can't just wait. Because if we keep waiting, our time will never come. Our time is now. We need to get out there and start affecting change right now.
That was pitch perfect, bro. Yes, that was pitch perfect. Hey, okay, so Connor just told me young people are not on Facebook. Okay, all the old people like me that have kids and grandkids, reach out to us. I will drop the email in the chat. In fact, let me just get the email now so that we have it. Let me open that up because we have a NextGen in email that you can reach out to us. What is it, Dana? I don't know. Let me go to settings so I can find it. Hold on. All right. It is, what is the stupid email? Oh, dang, here it is. nextgen.in.pod@gmail.com. That's what happens when you're old. I'll type it in so that we have it. So that, listen, young people, get engaged, right? Do you have a desire to talk a lot? I know I do. And this is an opportunity for you to put your story together, right? If you have a subject that you feel like is important to young people and you want to get involved and telling those stories, send us an email, right? There's enough sun for everybody to shine. There's enough opportunity. If you want to develop a story, parents, if you have storytellers in your home, let's make NextGen in that podcast where young people go to get their information about what's happening in Indiana politics. Let's make it so that it's so appealing to them that they want to be a part. They want to be in the club. They want to be one of the cool kids, right? And look at Connor. He'd never done this before. And now he's already working on his second episode, his second piece for the next episode. This is what we got to do, guys. Connor, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Thank you for having me.
I loved it. You're great. You're going to do fantastic. Be safe out there.
Appreciate the trust. Thank you so much. You take care.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye. Woo, see, it's not easy. It can be, but it's fun. You know, we get a chance to meet young people. We get to hear from them, get their point of view. We get their cadence versus what we see all the time, right? And so listen, NextGen In needs to be a very diverse podcast. I need people from all walks of life to come tell their stories on this thing. Indiana's Own is not front facing. I am just the producer. I want to empower these young folks to learn how to put content together, learn what it means to meet a deadline, learn what it means to work as a team and collaborate to solve problems, right? And this is what NextGen In does. And also when you consider eventually, y'all are going to get tired of my voice. Y'all going to want to hear from other people who have other ideas. And this is how we develop that. So if you have nieces, nephews, kids, we will even work with high school kids as long as you understand that this goes out on the internet and their faces will be out there on the internet, right? Long as you understand that and you're comfortable with that, if you give permission to your child to be a part of this, I promise I will protect them from my perspective, but their faces will be out there. Young people, if you're under the age of 35, listen, reach out. Let's talk about this and let's make NextGen In a powerful resource along with Turn Left, along with My Labor Radio, along with the Snide Report, along with all these other places, because this is the only one right now. NextGen In is the only one right now that is focusing in on young people. The only one. So here's an opportunity to empower our young people in this political process. We can give them their own platform to tell their own stories. Will you help us? Will you recruit some people for us? Send an email. If you got a young person, I'll be more than happy to put them on. All right, guys, that is my show for tonight. I'm so excited. There will not be a show next week. I am actually out of town for work. No worries. After I get back, we will start the interview process of more candidates. And if you haven't already checked it out, I have Turn Left Running for Congress 2026 because I knew I wouldn't have enough time to get all the congressional candidates who are running in all of these districts on the Thursday show. So I made sure that every candidate who is running for office could pick some time on my calendar and we record an episode and we put it up. I've already done 3 and 2 have already been published. They're on my YouTube page. They're on my Spotify page. They're shorter than normal shows, but the Tim Peck interview is up. The Franklin Jackson interview is up. And I have one more that's coming probably tomorrow. I didn't get a chance to edit it down, but I am doing the very best I can to get you guys all the information you need. So no show tomorrow. Recruit people for NextGen In for our next month's episode. And be sure to check out Turn Left, Running for Congress, all the congressional candidates who are running in the primary. Indiana's Own, Dana Black, Black Pearl Studios, we are bringing you the thing. All right? All right, until another week from now, I'll holler at you next time. Peace. Turn Left is the property of Black Pearl IT Solutions, executive producer, Indiana's Own Dana Black. Music by Dorianin 22 from Pixabay.